The car wasn't even registered yet, still had the temporary plates flapping in the breeze. And there she was, spinning in circles like a kid on Christmas. My sister, twirling in the driveway with a champagne glass in one hand and my future in the other. "You like it?" she squealed, tracing the hood like it was her crown. "The salesman said it practically drives itself." I parked my 10-year-old sedan next to her Miracle on Wheels, still wearing scrubs from a 14-hour shift. My phone buzzed. Probably another overdraft notice. "Sydney," I said, forcing my voice not to shake. "Where did you get the money?" She just laughed. "Mom and Dad helped me figure it out. Right, guys?" And there they were, smiling behind her. Champagne glasses, no guilt, just celebration. "We used that rainy day account," Mom said. "The one I spent 8 years building. The one labeled house down payment. 49,837. Gone. And the worst part? They didn't even tell me. Not until the car was parked in my own spot. I'd always been the fallback, the steady one, the fixer. The one who never asked for much but always made sure the fridge had groceries and the light bill got paid. I was used to it. That quiet, invisible pressure that came with being the responsible daughter. But this was different. I walked into the house and no one flinched. No one explained. Not Mom. Not Dad. Not even Sydney, who was now taking selfies with the car like it was some kind of trophy. "You used the emergency account?" I asked again. Mom gave me that soft, placating smile, the one she always used when she knew she'd crossed a line but didn't want me to react. "Sweetheart," she said, setting her glass down. "Your sister's been going through so much. She needed something good. So you stole from me." Dad stepped in then, his voice suddenly stern. "Don't be dramatic. It's family money. We've always said that." "No, you said that." I just paid the bills and stayed quiet. My phone buzzed. Again. Another overdraft. I turned it off. "You'll bounce back," Sydney chirped, now checking her reflection in the car's window. "You're good at that kind of stuff. You're the one who always says family comes first." That phrase, that weapon. I said that when Mom lost her job and we had to ration groceries. I said quietly. I said that when you crashed my old Corolla and didn't have insurance. I said it when Dad retired early and I started sending money every month to keep the lights on. They didn't deny any of it. They didn't have to. "You were always the strong one," Mom offered again gently. "We just thought you could handle it better than Sydney." I swallowed hard. "You used the account I saved for my house, the only thing I've ever wanted, for a luxury car." "Well, technically," Dad began, but I cut him off. "Technically, I'm the only reason you're not in default on 5 credit cards. Technically, my savings were the collateral for your emergency line of credit." Silence. I stared at all 3 of them. 3 people I had called family. "Did you even think about telling me?" "We knew you'd overreact," Sydney said. "You always do when it comes to money. It's like your thing." I laughed, cold and sharp. "You know what's also my thing?" I said, pulling out my phone. "Having my name on all the financial accounts." "What are you doing?" Dad asked, voice rising. "Closing the emergency account, and the linked accounts, and the overdraft protection account that's been covering your debt for months." "Sophie, don't," Mom gasped. Too late. The woman who always fixed things had just broken the one rule she never touched. I walked out of the house, leaving champagne glasses behind, and in the rearview mirror, I saw 3 faces frozen in place. Like they'd just realized the ATM had stopped working. They started calling that night. First it was Mom, then Sydney, then Dad. Over and over. "We need to talk. You're tearing this family apart. You're being childish." I didn't pick up. By morning, the messages had turned from guilt to panic. "Your father's card just declined at the pharmacy." "Sydney's crying herself sick." "We can't pay the mortgage like this." I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the blinking screen on my phone while the toaster popped behind me. This was the house I rented, not the one I'd been saving for. That house had a wraparound porch and hardwood floors. But I'd settled for this. Always settling. Always shrinking so they could expand. Bryce walked in, 2 coffees in hand. They still at it? Day 2, I said. The performance is getting stronger. Let me guess. Sydney's the fragile victim and you're the cold-hearted villain. Spot on. He sat across from me, flipping through my messages. Sophie, look at this one. You know your sister's been through a lot, and you promised to help family. This is so unlike you. They've weaponized my kindness, I whispered. They always have. The next call I answered. I had to. The message said Dad had chest pains. Is he okay? I asked. He's stable, Mom said, sniffling. But the stress, the bank's frozen everything. Sophie, please, you have to fix this. I have to fix it? We didn't mean for it to go this far. We just thought, she trailed off, that I'd do what I always do. Bend, pay. Apologize for being upset. You've always been so good with money, she said again, softly. That doesn't mean you get to steal it. She was silent. Mom, you knew that was my house fund. You helped me set it up. Your sister needed hope. So you drained my future to give her a better present? No answer. Just a soft exhale. I'm not coming over, I said before she could beg. And I'm not transferring anything. But we're your family. I ended the call. That night, Sydney posted a photo. Her red sports car in the driveway with the caption, "Some people would rather see you fall than watch you rise." The comments poured in. Your sister's crazy for doing this to you. You deserve better. Family shouldn't compete. They had started a narrative that I was jealous, that I was the bitter sibling who couldn't stand her sister's success. But I had the receipts. Bryce and I pulled up transaction histories, credit lines, co-signed documents, some I'd never even seen before. This is fraud, he said, pointing. This loan? That's your name as a co-signer. Did you ever sign that? Never. Then it's forged. And that means they crossed the line from betrayal into crime. The messages kept coming. You're destroying this family. You'll regret this. You've always been the selfish one. But I didn't delete them. I saved them. Every word. Because this time, I wasn't backing down. I called the bank on a Thursday morning. My voice didn't even shake. Yes, I'd like to file an identity theft report and freeze all linked accounts immediately. The woman on the other. And confirmed the names. My parents, my sister, 3 joint accounts, and a personal loan I didn't recognize. Will this impact their credit? I asked. Yes, ma'am. Severely. Perfect. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. This time, not with calls, but with notifications from the bank app. Denied. 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 I could practically hear the chaos as Sydney tried to use her card at a cafe. As Dad's auto payment bounced. As Mom's online shopping cart failed to process. Then came the real fireworks. Bryce showed up with 2 laptops, a whiteboard, and 3 folders. We're going forensic, he said. I'm tracking every dollar they took. If you're pressing charges, you need the paper trail. By midnight, my apartment looked like a war room. Screens lit up with timelines, emails, bank records. They've siphoned almost $300,000 from you over the years, Bryce muttered, scrolling. And look at this. Sydney used your name to apply for a job at my firm. Wait, what? She said you'd verify her 3 years of experience and her finance degree. She dropped out after 1 semester. I know, which is why Garrett flagged it. I blinked. He knows? He's the one who sent me this, Bryce said, spinning the laptop toward me. He's on your side. Later that night, as I I finally sat on the edge of my bed. The weight of it all crashed in. This wasn't just about the house anymore. They had stolen years of my life. My credit, my trust, my identity. They weaponized the one thing I'd always been proud of, being the responsible one. And now, they were about to find out exactly what responsibility looked like. The next morning, I walked into the police station, documents in hand. Detective Rivera sat across from me, flipping through the files. "You're saying your parents and sister used your name to take out loans, apply for credit cards, and co-sign auto loans. All without consent?" "Yes. And I have proof of forged signatures, false references, and text messages where they admit it." She leaned back, expression grave. "Miss Price, this is a felony case. We're talking fraud, identity theft, and financial abuse. Are you prepared to press full charges?" I stared down at the photo of my parents smiling next to Sydney's car. "Yes, I am." As I left the station, I passed a bulletin board of wanted posters, and I realized something. They weren't just my family. They were criminals who happened to share my DNA. That evening, Sydney posted another photo. "My sister is destroying our family because she's bitter and jealous. We're launching a GoFundMe for legal expenses." Eliza, my best friend and realtor, stormed into my apartment. "You seeing this crap? She's weaponizing victimhood again." "Already reported it," Bryce said. "The fundraiser's fraudulent." "I've got something better," Eliza grinned. "Guess who listed your name as a guarantor on their condo refinance last week?" "You're kidding." "Nope, forged signature. Again." That night, I sat on my couch, surrounded by friends, justice, and truth. The weight of guilt was gone, and tomorrow, the arrest warrants would be filed. It happened just after sunrise. Detectives. Rivera texted, "They've been arrested, all three." I didn't cry. I didn't celebrate. I just sat at my kitchen table, coffee cooling in my hands. The news broke an hour later. Local family arrested in $300,000 financial fraud scheme. Sydney posted a selfie from the back of a police car, mascara running, captioned, "My sister ruined our lives. Please donate to help us fight these false charges." Eliza nearly threw her phone. She's acting like she's the victim. "Let her," I said. "The court will tell a different story." At the courthouse, the air was thick with tension. My parents looked small in their suits. Sydney wouldn't meet my eyes. "All rise." The judge called my case. Their lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my clients wish to change their plea to guilty on all counts." A gasp rippled through the gallery. Sydney stood up. "What? You can't." "Sit down," the judge snapped, "or I'll have you removed." The gavel slammed once. "Miss Price, you may read your victim impact statement." I walked slowly to the podium, every step echoing years of silence. I unfolded the 3 pages I'd rewritten 100 times. "Your Honor, I'm here today not just as a victim of financial fraud, but as a daughter and sister whose trust was broken, not by strangers, but by the people who were supposed to protect me. My entire adult life, I paid their debts. I covered their credit cards. I was told it was just helping the family. I believed them until I saw my savings vanish for a sports car, until I found forged signatures, until I realized I had been groomed to believe my role in the family was to sacrifice. They didn't just steal my money. They stole my future, my security, my peace of mind. And when I said no, they turned me into the villain. My mom's shoulders shook with silent sobs. My dad stared at the floor. They taught me that love was measured in what you could give, not what you deserved. But I've learned something else. Real family doesn't exploit your loyalty. Real love doesn't bankrupt you emotionally, mentally, and financially. I looked straight at Sydney. "You said I was just jealous, but I wasn't. I was exhausted. And I'm done being your bank, your shield, your scapegoat. I forgive you, but I will never enable you again." The judge nodded. "Thank you, Miss Price." He turned to my parents. Based on the duration and scale of the fraud and your willingness to plead guilty, this court sentences both of you to 5 years in state prison with parole eligibility after 3. Restitution of the stolen amount will be enforced. Then, he turned to Sydney. Miss Price, your trial begins next week, but I strongly advise you to prepare for a separate sentencing. You've committed identity theft and employment fraud across multiple institutions. Your actions show deliberate deception, Sydney screamed. You're ruining my life. No, I said calmly. You ruined it. I just stopped covering for you. Reporters were waiting outside. Miss Price, how does it feel to send your family to prison? I didn't send them anywhere, I said. Their own actions did, Mom called out as they were led into the police van. We did this for you. Everything was for you kids. I shook my head. You did it to us. There's a difference. Sydney was the last to be escorted into a separate cruiser. You're dead to me, she shrieked. I smiled. Funny, I've never felt more alive. And as the doors closed behind them, I didn't feel shame. I felt something new. Peace. The courtroom felt like the end of one story. But outside, in the sunlight, I realized it was the start of a better one. Let's get out of here, Bryce said, holding the car door. I looked back once, watching Sydney scream into her phone. My parents were already gone. I didn't wave. I didn't cry. I turned around and walked toward my real life. That evening, I closed on my house. Eliza popped champagne in my new kitchen. Granite countertops, bay windows, peace. Everything I paid for. With my money, my effort, my freedom. To new beginnings, Eliza toasted. And clean bank statements, Bryce added. We laughed. The sound was real. A news alert pinged my phone. Sydney Price sentenced to 3 years for identity theft. Eliza reached to take the phone. Don't. This is your space. No family drama allowed here. But the doorbell rang again. Detective Rivera. Sorry to interrupt, she said, handing me a folder. They tried to file an appeal. It was denied. Of course it was, I said. Let me guess. They claimed I gave permission for everything. Correct. But the judge wasn't impressed. She smiled. You handled this with remarkable strength. Bryce pulled up my cousin's social media post. Look what they're saying now. Family isn't family anymore. Sophie betrayed her own parents for a house. Blood money. I didn't react. They can keep their drama. I've got real things to do. Eliza raised her coffee. Like planning your housewarming party. And accepting this, Garrett said, stepping in with a gift and a contract. What is it? Promotion to senior risk analyst. We want you to speak at next month's financial security conference. Your story can help others spot financial abuse early. I stared at the offer, then nodded. I'll do it. If it helps even one person get out, it's worth it. But my phone buzzed again. A prison number. Mom, I said, answering. Her voice was shaky. Please don't hang up. I need you to know I'm sorry. I paused. Are you sorry for what you did, or just sorry you got caught? Silence. That's what I thought. Goodbye, Mom. Wait, she said quickly. When we get out, we won't have anywhere to go. Sydney can't help. You're our only hope. No, I'm not. You raised a daughter who believes in taking instead of earning. But you also raised me, and I finally know who I am. I hung up. Bryce looked over. You okay? I smiled. Better than okay. The doorbell rang again. Eliza peeked out. That better not be them again. It wasn't. It was the real estate agent with Sao. Flowers. A new chapter, in full bloom. We started unpacking, choosing curtains, picking colors. Outside, the sun set. Inside, I made a decision. I was done being the fallback plan, the emotional punching bag, the unpaid debt collector. I was no longer Sophie, the ATM. I was Sophie, the homeowner. Sophie, the promoted analyst. Sophie, the woman who said enough. My story didn't end in revenge. It ended in freedom. They lost their house. I built mine from scratch. No lies, no theft, just integrity and grit. Detective Rivera sent one last update. Sydney's GoFundMe was shut down. Prosecutors cited it as fraudulent fundraising. Eliza laughed. Karma really is a No, I said softly, watching the city lights blink on outside my new window. Karma is just fair. The camera of life slowly pulled away from the warm kitchen light, past the quiet lawn, past the neighborhood trees. One chapter ended in handcuffs. Another began in peace. And that's what made it justice. Have you ever been pushed to your limit? By the people you trusted most? Share your story in the comments. And if this one moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. New stories every week. Welcome to Revenge Bloom.